Not a mic second. Microphone check. 1, 2. Welcome back to the Convo Couch, ladies and gentlemen. I am Pastor Jardula.
And I'm Fiorella.
And we have a special guest in the house, all the way from Vancouver, a writer, actor, and activist. Came out pretty good, huh?
Yeah, that worked. Excellent job.
My Italian paisan, he is no fugazi, Donal Thoms-Cappello. How are you doing, my man?
I'm good. I'm not Fugazi. Yeah, I'm doing really well. And thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure.
Really,
It's a pleasure,
excited
man.
to be here. Definitely.
Thanks for coming on. And we have a lot of interesting things to talk about today. We're going to talk about you and about the unions and what we're doing. But first, we're going to talk about what everybody's been talking about and what the mainstream media has been trying to ignore. Julian Assange's arrest and how that's a total totalitarian move against free press. So I want to know your opinion as to what you guys think so far about this whole situation. Donal.
Oh, gosh, I'm starting this.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's make sure you
yeah.
get this close to your mouth.
Oh, I got to run
We want to hear you, DTC.
See, I feel like your lips have been on this.
They've been close to that. I've used that microphone before, my man.
Yeah, okay, well, however I get it, however I get to your lips. I mean, when it happened, a lot of things have come out about Assange over the past couple of years that it's hard to defend him on some levels to some groups of friends I have. But when I saw the indictment itself, and that it's directly related, it's not even about like all these things that have been done to muck up who he is as his character and what kind of person he is, and the assault allegations and stuff. It had nothing to do with any of that, and it all came down to the fact that of what he did directly with Chelsea Manning. I don't even understand how that could be considered something wrong. Like it is what journalists do all the time. They publish now, and I was told it's that he conspired and he helped her to hack into
which is false.
Yes.
And I'll explain that later.
Yeah. So, I mean, if it is just that indictment, if it's just about that situation, I don't understand how the U.S. government could think they have a leg to stand on.
Exactly.
That's my first reaction. It could evolve. It could change, whatever.
I think there's two elements to the whole Assange situation. We got to kind of back up right now as new information comes to light. There's the side of, like, what are we going to do with Assange now? Why now, out of the blue, after the Mueller investigation? I know there's the conspiracy theorists out there, some of the Republican people out there, some of my friends who are saying, oh, Donald Trump's bringing him to the States so he can testify against the DNC because who hates him more than anybody? Who did he affect and hurt more than anybody? Yeah. Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, the DNC was destroyed, tear it inside and out. So we have that whole element of, like, what's going to happen next. But I think, too, we sometimes have to back up and talk about what happened with Assange in the first place. He only published information he got, and not for nothing, he published stuff that the American public needed to see.
Yeah.
I told Johnny to bring it up, and hopefully we can bring it up and watch it later. The mowing down from the helicopters of these journalists and these people, and then they did another lap, and when people came to help, they got mowed down again. And just like the Snowden revelations, we also have to look about, okay, what did actually Julian Assange do for us? He told us the truth. He told the American people the truth. So I'm kind of looking at
that's
these,
just one. That's one thing that was late. That's just one thing that came out. Yeah.
I mean, we also know the Democrats right now, who are now some of his biggest critics. We see all over the mainstream media. I think Joy Reid, your favorite person on MSNBC, said that Julian Assange was not a journalist. A couple people have said it.
The people who believe in Russiagate, because it pretty much destroys their theory. So Glenn Greenwald and Mika Lee wrote a nice piece on why Assange arrest is such a vital threat to our freedom of press. And then pretty much everybody on the mainstream media agrees. On the mainstream media is okay with his arrest, but everybody in the independent media and the truth tellers and the people that are, have always been fighting against the establishment are all freaking out. So I
was just going to say, I'm sorry to interrupt, just to add, what's his name, who published the Pentagon Papers, Ellsberg, I believe, right? Came out and said this is ridiculous. Like what they have on him is ridiculous, you know. And that's a prominent whistleblower in our history.
He embarrassed them.
Democrats taught me that was the good guy for a long time, you know, because he was. Yeah.
He embarrassed the good guys and supposedly the Democrats, so now they're after his ass.
Yeah.
Well, so the fact that Assange he didn't just receive classified documents from Chelsea Manning. They're saying that he tried to help her crack a password to cover her tracks. That fact alone is okay, because that's what journalists do. You're supposed to protect your source. You never want to reveal your source, especially if your source doesn't want to be revealed, and if that could unintentionally, directly or indirectly hurt them. So him doing that was there was nothing wrong with that. And remember, Obama and the DOJ tried to prosecute him on this, but they weren't able to do it because they realized that they couldn't do it because indicting him would pose a serious threat to the freedom of speech. So this is nothing new. Like the whole accusation, they're acting like this is a whole new accusation, that there's a whole new additional thing, when that's not the case. This has been the same thing since before. Yeah. Another misreported fact is that he was hacking the computer, which isn't true. He was lying, and in essence, to protect Manning. All he did was try to maintain her anonymity by telling her to do a different password.
Yeah, like, so basically their charge is that, you know, he at one point told Manning, like, you should keep going. And like that's like conspiracy for hacking within the DOJ. Yeah. And I believe unsuccessfully, right? Like they tried to get the password and, you know, like basically me as a 14-year-old trying to unlock porn sites. Like,
I think they're trying to connect these dots of like, okay, they conspired to help Donald Trump win, and they conspired to do this together, and what he was doing. I mean, pretty much he embarrassed the whole DNC. He embarrassed the Obama administration. And I think the message of him arresting, or whatever they say, it's, oh, he conspired or he did this, whatever. No, it's all a message of like, if you publish stuff that we don't want published, we're going to silence you. We're going to jail you. You toe the line. You shut the fuck up. You don't do that, or we will get you one way or the other. And I think they've been able to push this narrative and do these types of actions because a lot of the people in the American public have bought into it. We talked to about it downstairs. Like, I asked you, I said, Donal, how do they get these people in the American public to buy into this bullshit? Yeah. And I think you should share that answer, because you said, well, then people have to look inside the mirror now. Maybe you can elaborate on that and stuff.
Oh God, about my own looking
why are
inside
so many
the
people
mirror. I told you that in confidence.
No, it was so good you have to share it here on the couch.
All right, yeah. Well, I just was gonna say that I just think, you know, I think that the narrative. Well, first of all, I feel like the problem with a lot of us, and I say this as, you know, a performer and a writer and an artist, and I'm not somebody who, you know, I've been involved in politics my whole life, and I was was on the East Hollywood Neighborhood Council for a time, and you know, I canvassed for the Obama campaign, I canvassed for LA homeless youth coalitions and things like that. I've always tried to be involved, but I can't really credibly claim to be like an expert on any one thing. But I will say that I just feel like we have all, social media has helped with this, that we've all bought into this national narrative all the time, where it's the Republicans versus the Democrats, the good versus the bad. Maybe you see one side is good and the other is bad, and that switches, you know, for the other, someone in another state, whatever. But I just feel like if you ever come to the realization that the side you thought was on the good side is also part of the bad, and that there's this whole other level that really we're talking, a class hierarchy kind of is revealed to you, and you understand that actually the people who are your true enemies are everyone who holds on to the wealth that got redistributed, which I always think it's ironic when conservatives are always lecturing about wealth redistribution and how horrible that is, when since Reagan they've been redistributing wealth upwards towards them.
Themselves.
Yeah, that like once you realize that that's the actual dynamic you live in, you're going to have a nervous breakdown. I just think you're going to. And I had a nervous breakdown. Like I had, like, for the summer of 2016, which was crazy, I was working and I was studying, and I was in a new country in Canada. And then I was also like curled up in a ball, just like freaking weeping and for my country, and weeping for this system I thought was real, that I was slowly realizing I don't think this is what I thought it was. Right. And I had a lot of Canadian friends be like, well, you know, the mask is off now. Like that was like their way of consoling me.
That's a great statement.
Yeah, and well, just realizing that there was a mass to begin with.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't even understand that, that hits you in a way that you're either going to cry it out for a long time, or you're going to go the other way and be like, nope. You're going to run into an Aaron Sorkin episode in your head, and that's where you're going to live for like years and years and years, and it's...
But you know who really grabbed the mask and pulled it off was WikiLeaks. If we're talking about anything, really, Obama.
Bernie Sanders, WikiLeaks, and even Donald Trump's election.
Yeah, I think it was a gradual, just because a system that's predicated on a lot of smoke and mirrors of medium, right? Like, it can't sustain itself, and just in little by little, it's just going to start collapsing in front of you, right? And
which is why I want to go to Pasta's theory. I don't think your theory is accurate simply because Donald Trump isn't in charge here.
Oh, we're talking about the theory about why they got him now?
Right, because Pompeo is it said from the begining that they were going to push
he wants to go after him.
And they want to go after him for this. He specifically said that him and Jeff Sessions said that we have to recognize that we can no longer allow Assange and his colleagues the latitude to use free speech values against us. In that sentence, you're literally censoring a journalist from protecting himself. And if this also proves the fact that the Democrats are wrong on Russiagate, because they're trying to pin this on it too, and it doesn't make sense. Either he conspired with Trump to help, and Manafort met with Manafort to help elect Trump, and there is no proof, and he denies that he met with Manafort. You go through the logs, there's no proof. Or he, or like, it can't be both. Or he's just he's revealing the Democratic Party, which is exactly what he's doing, which is where they agree on. They agree on censorship and more.
Those are really smart dots you just connected, because there are a lot of people like in your traditional liberal like demographic that fully believe, if you believe in Russiagate, then it's hard to look at this as a litmus test. I think litmus tests are dangerous, but the litmus test of, if Trump pardons Assange, they're going to go, see, we were right. And then there's going to be a lot of Republicans on that side, that if Trump pardons Assange, they're going to go, see, we were right. A lot of MAGA voters, because they're going to say oh, he, that they were in cahoots, right? Or he was using him to break down the DNC, or whatever, like get him to testify and then pardon him. But if Assange goes to jail, if Trump doesn't do anything, then both those groups, now there's a big hole in that theory, right? So that could be the thing looking forward to this. Like, so what's going to happen to him will probably tell the tale, right? Yeah.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. It's not actually my theory. I'm just not putting it away. I'm not like laughing it off about the whole, because I told her and stuff. And even Caitlin Johnson made a tweet like, shut the fuck up about this whole thing.
I'm with Caitlin.
He is jailing a journalist, and that's what this is about, and it's wrong. Yeah. He's not bringing Donald Trump here to testify about Seth Rich, because there's a lot of the conspiracy theorists that are in the woodwork. Well, I don't want to say conspiracy theorists because it's unfair, but there's a lot of Seth Rich believers who believe that Seth Rich was the one who was murdered, who got the data dump and gave it to WikiLeaks. So there's a lot of people waiting in the woods saying, okay, wait, Trump is bringing him here. He's going to testify that his source was Seth Rich. Yeah. And that's going to bring the Democratic Party to its knees. Now, I'm not saying that that's true.
Yeah, I'm not even going to touch any of
that. But it is kind of weird that all this, right now, after the Mueller investigation was tied up, now we grab Assange?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm just waiting there, because Donald Trump does have a history. Let me tell you something. He has a history in New York about going around the mob, saying F you to the mob for all of his buildings and all this stuff. So he has a way of going against other groups and authorities, saying, hey, screw you. I'm going to do my own thing. And in a way, he'll give lip service, to the deep state, maybe. Yeah. Who knows? I mean, once again, we assume that the deep state or the intelligence community is in charge. But the deep state, I think, is only one small element. All these elites. So, I mean...
Well, deep state is, like, I don't like that, like,
It's such...
Well, it's a loaded term now. Yeah, I mean, we can just, intelligence communities are there are a whole bunch of branches in our government that are not chosen by representative government, right? They're just not. These are officials who are appointed, unregulated branches. And it's only a matter of time before I feel like those branches start running the show, and they're there past all presidential terms. That's all documented, right? There's so many people that just hang around. No matter who gets elected. So,
and you can think of one of the big things is you go back to Obama, and I know it's the financial sector, but him hiring Saunders and Geithner were one of the biggest things. I was like, that's when I started losing fucking hope. When the mass started going like this, I was like, Saunders and Geithner, like, who the fuck's running the show? Wall Street, along with the military-industrial complex.
I remember when he opted,
when
he did a big speech, and it was such a big deal, and I didn't really get it at the time. I'm like, why is he doing this big speech explaining why he's doing private fundraising? And then I started reading about what the dangers are of opting into private fundraising, and I was like, oh God, oh no. Like, just please, dude, please.
Here comes the mask.
But one of the main things to consider in this is understanding that the New York Times, The Guardian, various newspapers in Paris and Spain, all of these people, if Assange violated the law, so did they, because they spread the same amount of information. But now you have people like the New York Times saying, oh, Assange is, is prosecuted for blah blah blah. Like they're now attacking him, when before they benefited, they became renowned journalists for this entire WikiLeaks dump, right? But now they're turning on him because they've probably been reined in by their bosses, and it's ridiculous. And if you guys remember the Afghan and Iraq wars video, the one of the American helicopter crew shooting the civilians, the two robbers.
I'll never forget that.
Two Reuters. Do we have that video? Could we play that?
Oh, whoa!
Could we
really?
play that?
We're gonna play that?
Yeah, no, because it's important. Listen, it's important. And I was watching Crosstalk the other day, and there was this journalist on, and she said it's important, guys. Keep playing these videos. Let people know. Let the public know what Chelsea Manning was revealing to us. They need to know the truth. Okay, they can't hide this stuff.
No, I agree.
As hard as it is, and it's rough. This video to me is one of the roughest ones, because they kept circling, and when people came to help, they started firing them. And these are journalists. These are truth tellers from Reuters. Two of them. Can we play that video?
That's a weapon.
No, that was a hit. That was a hit. That was a hit. They were silencing fucking.
Well, no, I just think they were just idiots, and then they just decided, like, just do it. Oh God, we're gonna show this. This makes me sick to my stomach to watch. It's very hard for me to watch this.
They were telling these journalists to get the fuck out of there, and these journalists were like, "Fuck you, we're not leaving." They hit an Al Jazeera building too. They don't have that on there as well. This was a fucking hit on purpose. This was to scare any media or outside fucking Western media out of there.
Okay. So how can we go back? How can we see that and then ignore the fact that this is an attack on
sports,
press?
Just letting you know.
Oh, well, you and Pasta have your Jets podcast.
No, I'm not talking about sports after that.
But seriously, how can you not think that the media isn't under attack? You know what I mean? Like, if they're willing to do that, and then they're willing to jail Chelsea Manning, who basically was the one who spoke out, and then subsequently jail Assange, who basically took that information and spread it with the rest of us. How is anybody not horrified? Yeah. How is anybody not angry and outraged that this is happening right now? Because it's absolutely ridiculous.
But Trump.
Right. But Trump. Oh, but Assange helped elect Trump. That's all I'm getting. Assange helped elect Trump. No, he didn't. There is no evidence of that. There is nothing in the books that he met with Manafort. There is none of that. And the fact is, they broke international law. They coerced Ecuador, who a new president came in, who was a pushover. Yeah. And that's pretty much how it happened. With the new president that came in, he was a pushover. He got pushed by the United States. There's also witnesses that say that the Swedish police reopened the case they had dropped due to lack of evidence, which is a sexual allegations case. They reopened it due to pressure from the United States and the DOJ, which literally, this is a hit. This is another hit job on a journalist, and it's attacking all of us, because now we can all just pretty much be pulled out of here, be jailed.
Yeah, we could. I mean, anytime they can come busting through this door and kind of get us out here for saying something, or if we got a hold of the video.
And they already tried this before. The part that ticks me off about all of this is I'm old enough to remember Judith Miller and the aluminum tubing bullshit from New York, that when she published in the New York Times that Saddam had these Can you hear me? Can everybody hear me? When Saddam had Saddam had this the evidence that Saddam was using was weaponizing nuclear energy or weapons of mass destruction was these fucking aluminum tubes.
Yeah,
right?
I remember.
And she published all that basically with Dick Cheney stovepiping information, jumping all over all these regulation and checks within the CIA and stuff, probably pissing off them too because they knew they were looking like clowns. And she got prosecuted for that because she would not release where she got her information from. And that was clearly somebody trying to push back against Dick Cheney because they wanted her on record to reveal, I got it directly from this office, right? The irony that she got pushed on that, but also, the New York Times came to bat and wrote all these op-eds about the freedom of the press with her. But when it comes to Assange for basically doing the same thing, they're all ready to just throw him to the sharks, right? Although I have a feeling now you're going to see a lot of op-eds from newspapers like, well, actually, because I think now that they see the actual indictment, they realize that, the government's going to go for this and it's going to affect them in a very, very bad way. So,
yeah. So before we move on, I just have 2 pictures. Jonathan picks 3 to 4. Where basically there was this journalist that met with Assange right before he was arrested. Charles Glass of The Intercept met up with him. Mm-hmm. And he said that the Democratic National Committee's accusation was that he colluded with President Donald Trump and Russia to hack its emails and publish them. The DNC was alleging that Assange revealed its trade secrets, which in WikiLeaks is a reference to the methods the DNC used to deprive Bernie Sanders of the presidential nomination. The DNC is using 1970 Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act meant to control organized crime to pursue a journalist publisher. So this sets a precedent that we should worry about, and Trump's lawyers insist that there was no crime committed, therefore no conspiracy took place, and that won't stop the DOJ under Trump's attorney general from pursuing criminal charges against Assange. And it's not only for working with Manning, but also to examine how Assange obtained confidential Defense and State Department documents as well. So this is all connected. And you can see there that he says that he never met with Paul or spoke to Paul Manafort. Yeah. So this is how they tie it, right? If you defend Assange in a way, they're saying, oh, you're defending Donald Trump. You're not accepting that the Democrats lost on their own, even though there's literal proof, which is why the Democrats are so mad that the DNC used these methods to cheat Bernie Sanders out of the nomination. So that's why it's so important that, and I'm waiting for Bernie to say something on this, because the only person that's actually said something is Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah. Well, we were talking
Tulsi,
about
by the way, I got your mug.
Yeah. He's using it. We were talking about this the other day, though. About the what were we we were talking about the right now. We when it comes to the DNC leaks, and let's be specific here. All the allegations right now against Julian Assange are going back to Chelsea Manning when it was a Republican presidency, a Republican candidate. All the crimes that Bush created. So they're kind of going back. I think it's those deep state people on the Republican side that haven't forgot, that they didn't care. They saw Donald Trump saying he loved WikiLeaks, but they don't care about the DNC stuff. They're still focused on the Chelsea Manning thing. So it seems like it's the Republican side that's still attacking Assange right now with this, bringing him over and stuff. Yeah. So, I mean, that's something to keep in mind as well.
And so Assange doubles as a figure that they can get at for what the narrative that he's a part of when it comes to Chelsea Manning, and Democrats can get him for the narrative that he is a part of with Russia. Right. And so you notice how everything is about creating a story with, in a year or 2 years time, and we just keep saturating it, and as long as we can double this person up for that same agenda, or for different agendas, but the same results.
And in the thread we were in, we said we don't give a shit if Putin scaled down the wall himself, MI6 style, and stole those emails and then gave them to Julian Assange. Yeah. He didn't fucking write them.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that people should be focused on. I don't give a shit, who fingers the cheaters. I care about the cheaters themselves. The methods they use.
Well, that's the thing I was
the
always...
DNC. I don't give a shit if the aliens from fucking planet Neptune came and gave us those fucking emails. They didn't write the emails. The DNC wrote the emails.
Well, I was always
concentrating on the emails itself.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
Well, I was always just looking for when they get inauthenticated, and the fact that they never were, I was just like, that's always just stuck with me. Like, but if it's real, then what are we talking about here, right?
What about the whole theory that the Russians didn't hack them, that they didn't have the bandwidth, that those people from the ex-NSA and CIA people said that no way, that was definitely a data dump? I mean, do you guys still kind of accept the fact that Seth Rich could have downloaded them and stolen them himself?
I'm not touching that because I don't know
why did you
anything
wanna
about
touch
it.
that?
Because I don't know anything about it. Like I
think
mean,
Seth Rich was a hit job. I
Okay.
fully support that idea, just based on the evidence and the lack of evidence.
Yeah, no, me too.
So.
Nothing
can we
was
get my
stolen from
can we
there.
get my agent on the phone or
I'm-
can we? No.
I'm not gonna, I'm not saying that.
No, I get all
there's
that, yeah.
anything, but I'm just saying like the timing and everything. I
Sure.
feel like we need to find out more, but I do feel like there's enough evidence.
Well, to me, it's
foul
like,
play,
what
at least.
what does it matter if the Russian government came in and dumped a whole bunch of the insides of how the awful things that are being talked about in Establishment DC, or if it was a member of Establishment DC that dumped it? What does it matter? We see this, and it confirmed a lot of suspicions. A lot of people who really, I think, aren't even that into politics, but they're just good at recognizing bullshit, right? Like people, like there's always like, I got a mechanic he'll just say shit. He'll watch the TV and he'll be like, oh, that guy's lying right now, and like a year later it comes out he's lying, and it's just because this is just a tool. A medium is a tool, right? And it is always trying to find a way to present information on its own terms. And there are people, and a lot of us are good at knowing when that's not true, right?
You got like the Ant-Man. The million Ant-Man. I'm not touching that one, bro. That's what Donal just pulled
from
at.
Rick and Morty?
From Rick and Morty goes, we're talking about Seth Rich.
Well,
He's like, I'm not
because-
touching that one,
Well,
bro.
because I don't know about it. I mean, I honestly don't. I mean,
You can entertain the possibility that he was possibly was him.
I could entertain that. I could also entertain the
It's not far.
possibility that
Nobody
if
should be called a conspiracy theorist for kind of diving into that mentality.
Never did. I'm sorry. Can we roll it back? Can
I'm
we roll
not
it back?
saying
Did I
you
ever
did,
say that?
but
Can we
there are
roll
a
it
lot
back?
of
Can
people
we roll
who
that back
were,
record?
some friends we know that would
right.
say, "Oh, that's conspiracy theory stuff. You're being
No, I don't.
You're being taken down. We're being
I don't. I
blocked."
just
being
know that
couch
if I'm ever gonna give my opinion and input, like I really don't like straying from what I know. Like to be true. Like
So
I
next,
just
do
don't
some
like that.
studying on it and come back onto the couch and give us a report on it.
All
So-
right, fam.
do study.
Let's get to his
Study.
stuff, but I just want to
Who
show
has the
two
masters?
things.
Yeah,
I want to
what?
show Tulsi's tweet. While these two are arguing, Tulsi's tweet.
I'm
It's
not arguing. I'm
Fugazi,
just
not
presenting. I'm just presenting real
Fugazi.
evidence.
It's
I have a
Fugazi.
master's. I have a master's degree. Spent a lot of money.
I got a master's from the streets,
I,
DTC.
I eat a lot of. I microwave.
I
a
make
lot
the
of
best
dinners.
canoles.
A lot of my dinners are microwave now because of my master's.
Gotcha.
It's great.
Bam, you want to read that?
Which one?
Oh, can you see it or no?
Do we
I
got a
can't
twit?
see it.
We got a twit?
We do have a twit.
Okay.
Where's the twit?
He's
I got
sitting
no
right
twit
here.
Where's the twit?
Why? Yeah, it's not on the document. So
What did Tulsi
people
say?
can see it. So you guys.
Oh, you were
saw
talking
it.
about the Assange one.
Yes.
Yes.
Which was very important. Basically, she's saying that.
Oh, I see it.
It's an attack. You see it?
Yeah, the
great.
message is clear to journalists and all Americans. If you try to take away our power, you will pay a high price. That
Right.
one?
Right. She's the only candidate besides Mike Gravel to say that. And
Mike, Gravel Gang, man.
yeah,
Rebel.
he's got
guys.
two 17-year-olds running his.
I was gonna say whatever teenagers he's
Yeah.
like surrounding himself with.
Yeah.
Those kids.
They're high
Those kids
schoolers.
are smarter than I was when I was
Yeah.
17. My goodness.
Oh yeah, they're great. They're awesome. But
I was just listening to a
it's
lot
important.
of Alice in Chains and being angry.
Alice in Chains is great.
Alice in
But
Chains
it's-
is amazing. I hate the fact that Alice in Chains calls himself Alice in Chains, though.
Calls
Why?
himself Alice in
Well,
what
the
are you
group still
talking
calls
about?
themselves out. They had a new
Jerry
album.
Cantrell. His name is Jerry. He has a name.
Well,
It's
Jerry Cantrell. Okay.
Cantrell.
Jerry
Fantastic.
Cantrell.
When were you alive? Didn't you live
Listen,
in the
let-
same area?
Is it Les Staley?
Were you listening to Garth
Lee
Garth
Staley?
Brooks?
What's
Is
his
that what you're
Staley?
doing?
What's his name?
Lane Staley and Jerry
Lane
Cantrell.
Staley passed
Holy
away.
shit.
When Lane Staley passed
You know
away,
what? Nothing's offended me. All the conspiracy theory stuff is one thing. Now I'm offended.
Lane Staley, when he passed away, then Alice in Chains, the name should be pass away with it. Do you agree or disagree on that one?
I disagree because
the
band concept changed a lot of times before they got big. Like the Alice in Chains name was like hopping around. Like I think
Doesn't make a difference. It was cemented.
They were
with
actually, I
Lane
believe,
Staley.
they started.
Nobody
as a
has
band.
that voice.
They were a band in drag, I think.
Oh.
And that's where the Alice in Chains thing.
I
Started.
think we're getting way off track over here. man.
Yeah.
I am
I'm
actually
just-
We're
all of a
talking
sudden
about. What are we
entertained.
supposed to talk about?
I'm
Unions?
talking about things I
Talking
like.
about drag
We are.
bands now.
We're gonna talk about unions, and then the last thing I just want Johnny to show is this picture of the New York Times and them basically just talking shit. They're basically accusing Assange of the same thing. They're like highly problematic champion for the principles of press freedom. Highly problematic champion for the principles of press freedom. Like, that's what they're referring to him as. And that's the New York Times, who benefited from the information dump, by the way, just so you guys know.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and let you talk about what you said. There's an issue with the unions and the AEA, and it's affecting, the theater group. And also just let us know what you've been doing, because you were
Sure,
here.
yeah. Okay. So, so this is more of a Los Angeles oriented issue, but it's also kind of a national one, and it has to do with Actors Equity, which is a theater union. The union for stage actors in America, and has a very rich history of being very good to its artists and very productive. They've scored a few hits. I mean, they're filled with people who I believe really are trying to help their fellow stage actor in America, but there has been a lot of the past few years. It's been really bad, especially in Los Angeles. Los Angeles has a collective of small theaters, like a big small theater community that are 99 seats. So they're called the 99 seat theaters. Because you have so many stage actors in LA who need opportunities to keep working in order to justify their equity membership. Equity, way back in like the late 70s, early 80s, came up with an agreement called the 99 seat plan. It was not a contract. It wasn't anything that a producer could cite for negotiations. It was just a code that said, like, you could use our union actors in your productions and not pay them as long as you are, as long as you're a specific small theater that doesn't really make that much money. And we will cover benefits, right? And we'll make sure if someone gets hurt, we'll still be able to cover medical benefits. Now, a few years ago, the union, which is based in New York, really, the union leadership, thought this was a terrible idea, and they came out with this big campaign that said, we're going to change this. We're going to change this rule. If you can still employ union actors in your stage productions, the problem is that but you have to pay them minimum wage. Now, that seems great. That seems fantastic. The problem is the small stages are owned by the actors and they're run by the actors because we don't have access to the very few number of large theater companies here. So what you're in effect doing is telling union actors and small stages that they can't employ themselves, they can't work. And now, because that's the majority of stages in LA, as a result, it's much harder now for union actors to find stages to perform on. This was something that was suggested by our membership, and we voted it down in a referendum. We said no. We wanted minimum wage. We want to be paid, but we wanted a wage floor to be gradually introduced. And so that you don't screw the pooch, so that these houses don't close all at once, because if you pay 5 actors minimum wage, you're tripling your budget in some cases. Right. And with LA, this was really a story about LA rents, right? These houses are now, these theater houses have to pay so much in commercial rent. Right. And they're nonprofits. They specifically are not trying to make profit, right? So we're not talking about companies and private for-profit situations here. So as a result, the referendum, all LA actors said, actually, no, we don't want this. And Equity overruled us. Wow. They said, tough.
So they mimic the Democratic Party.
I mean, they
pretty much.
I mean, if we value democracy, what the hell is that, right? And the reason why I bring it up is for 2 reasons. Number one, I do think that the small theater company. I've been out of town. I'm back here now, and I can see that people are worried. And the solid footing of this theater community is not as good as it was before. And the reason why it's annoying is because this was a community filled with people who were priced out of New York City, like myself, couldn't afford to live there anymore. People who were priced out of Chicago, right? People were priced out of major cities, and the only place we could afford for a long time, for like 10, 15 years, was LA. We all got together and we created new shows. Many of those shows moved on to secure big contracts and stages, small theater stages all over the country. In a couple cases, Spring Awakening a couple years ago went to Broadway. So we were creating a pipeline where we could create new work here and funnel it back. And now you may not like be interested in theater, but it's just an example of a centralized thing. Theater union, something we're supposed to love, right? Which is supposed to be on the side of people who like democracy, right? But they implemented a top-down, very corporate-minded, we're going to just create the market the way we want to see it here. And it's going to fail, and it's failing right now.
It's a microcosm of how our government works, like how capitalism structures and forces these even supposedly good structures like unions to operate like corporations, because that's what we are now. We are just corporations. And so pretty much that same structure is going to be applied to every union, which is why it's so hard to even, I love unions and I stand with them, but I also see why there's a lot of conflict within them.
Well, this union, once it got taken under the wing of the AFL-CIO, we all of a sudden they're actually now doing more changes, and the changes are horrendous. I'm looking at some of them, and I don't understand what's happening. Like where now I think they're going to basically make it impossible for membership to regulate when they raise our dues.
Oh wow.
Which is insane. They are striking from the preamble of our Constitution anything that has to do with being an artist. The word artist is being taken out.
Yeah.
The word labor is being put in. There's this idea that being an artists union is bad or awful, or you don't make enough money. We want to be labor unions. We want to be like pipe fitters and plumbers, and we are in the same umbrella union, right, as AFL-CIO, so we want to be more like them. I just will never, ever, ever believe that the work you do as an actor, as an artist, is the same as the work you do as a 9-to-5 tradesman. That's not to denigrate a 9-to-5 tradesman. It's the fact that my job ends after like 2 months and I'm unemployed, right? I have to keep finding those jobs, right? And if you're a tradesman and you're protected by the union, the odds are you can find a sustained model that is totally different from what we do. So the idea that we're just going to create that this is all the same thing is just being dumb, quite frankly.
So you have an old video, right, that you did with the same people that you did a shoot with.
Oh yeah, so I wanted to give a shout out plug. So Michelle Boley and Taylor Gill, who are part of Rogue Kite Productions, they're coming out with we're coming out with a new thing. Be on the lookout for it. Didn't want to talk too much about it because I don't know how much I can reveal about it, but
reveal some stuff on the couch. Come on. Sneak previews. Let's go. You're relaxed. You got coffee. You got Hawaiian mug.
Well,
tell us some stuff we don't know.
Well, we're reacting to the Brett Kavanaugh appointment. Quite frankly, I'll just leave it at that. We tried something. We threw it out there. We'll see. They did a fantastic sketch called Guntown last year. Michelle Boley directed it. She's amazing. She's a badass. And they did. And the first time I collaborated with them with this video called Please Don't Vote.
We have the clip here, Johnny. You want to show
right.
it? Memory lane. I remember watching this.
Majestic. Young people, minorities, gays, and women.
I know we don't talk much, but this election we have a favor to ask of you.
Don't vote on November 4th.
Yeah, fucker. We've made some desperate attempts to win you over, but let's be honest, it's just getting awkward.
We don't get you people.
We've spent the past 6 years doing nothing, so you'd give up on the whole hope and change thing and leave the policy decisions to us.
Rich white men protecting our own self-interest.
Self-interest like money. Money.
Money balls.
Money trees.
Money in the shape of sexy women.
We own America. Why is this so complicated?
We've done our part to make not voting easier for you.
Gerrymandering, changing voting laws, eliminating early voting.
Making fake voting stations out of refrigerator boxes.
'Cause fuck you. But there's only so much we can do. The rest is up to you.
So don't vote.
Don't vote.
I think you should not vote.
And let us forge a new America, One that's not hampered by minimum wage laws or overtime pay or regulations on credit derivative swaps.
That celebrates diversity of income based on gender and race.
It isn't plagued by discussions of police brutality or inequality.
Can I get help? God! If global warming is real, then why is there ice in my drink? Take that, science.
But if all you liberals stay at home this November, Republicans will take back the Senate and we'll be free, unfettered by pesky attempts to overturn Citizens United or maintain net neutrality.
No more your bloody blah 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 lady laws or bloody blah 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 immigration. No more nagging about student loan reform or equal pay for equal work.
Sure, it would give you more money, but what would you spend it on?
Clothes, food, a down payment on a house.
That's not what keeps the economy moving.
We have better ideas.
Like paying successful corporations to create jobs for you.
Lowering the business taxes so we businessmen don't actually pay taxes.
And space fracking.
So, this November 4th, refuse to do your job as a citizen just like we do in Congress.
Play video games.
Watch your Telemundo.
Smoke your jukas, watch your lesbian jail show.
Ride your fixies.
Drink craft beer. Cook. Or watch puppy videos.
Keep vining, sexting, grinding, Skyping, pinning, twerking, whatever it is you people are doing, and leave the governing to us.
Just let us win.
Don't vote.
Stay home. For Mitch. Boop. Boop. Reminds me of my grandma. Old turkey neck.
That's hilarious. It's pretty
how we-
funny.
Yeah, it's
So is the next one going to be as funny?
I've aged, huh?
This is the next one going to be as funny?
Yeah, I was gonna say something about that, dude. No, just kidding.
Yeah, no, it's all right.
Just
no,
a
that's
bunch
one
of
of those.
chops.
That's one you said really quick, but then like that meant you were serious. Yeah. No, I was just kidding. But actually, I was. I was really serious. Yeah.
Yo, I wanted to say some thank yous to people watching online. We had about a few people on the vote coming over to the YouTube Convo Couch page on the MCSC
Thanks for
network.
watching, guys.
There was a lot of talk about what the favorite Alice in Chains song was. So you guys started that up. A lot of people said Nutshell, the Rooster.
Yeah.
Not.
Oh, Nutshell's fucking
Nutshell's the
badass.
best. It's got to be one of the best.
I'm
Oh,
gonna
God.
get to this later.
So there was a discussion about that. Then we had two people fighting about the whole Assange being a journalist, whether he did help the DNC or not. That whole helped Russia bullshit that was going on.
Love, hate, love. By the way, love, hate, love. That's one of my sneaky dark horse, Lane Staley.
So,
sorry, continue.
Just wanted to thank all those people over
No,
there.
Yeah,
Tulsi,
cool.
Tulsi and I agree that Tupac over Biggie. So the question is, why do you guys?
Well, Tulsi, I got your mug, and now I have the superior
Why do
rap
you guys?
opinion.
I'm sorry. I mean, you
Tulsi
got
don't know about
two
Tupac
Biggie
Biggie,
fans.
okay.
sitting
First of all, I'm a
It's
little bit older
Biggie.
than Tulsi. Her birthday's around the same time, but I'm many years older. I was around for the birth of hip hop, so I understand a little bit better than Tulsi. I will school her. And
He's
talk
the
to her
same
about
age
what
as
about
Tulsi, so I think
that.
yeah.
Well,
So you both just
Tupac or
have bad
Biggie?
taste.
Biggie.
Thank you.
Okay, but
Stop the show.
I'm
Cut it.
gonna-
Biggie, cut. That's it. Thank you.
It's Biggie.
Thank you very much. That was DTC. That we're.
I mean, I'm just gonna acknowledge that the thing is, I think on terms of like I did watch Biggie, like one of his last like performances. He comes out in the top hat or whatever. I think it was for like the Source Awards or something. And like showmanship wise, yeah, Pac had him on that. But I mean, lyrically, I'm sorry, like Biggie just kills it. Like you can't.
Yes, you're just liking Tupac because I like Biggie, so you're doing it to drive a knife in my
No,
side.
I think Tupac
you don't
was
understand.
the poet. He was the activist.
poet.
The poet.
He was. No,
Like,
he was. He was.
yeah,
He was
like,
amazing.
I just,
He was
yeah,
amazing.
He
You're
was
asking me
okay.
to choose between like like fettuccine Alfredo and like
It's like Tulsi or Bernie.
another awesome pasta dish. Like,
You know what I'm saying?
I'm just gonna eat all this.
Fettuccine Alfredo. Ow.
Should we do Biggie or Lane Staley? That's the true.
Nah.
No, you
the
can't
true
compare
question.
those two.
Not at all. Everybody knows it. Biggie was all about self-confidence and
try
building
to-
oneself from the
I'm trying
inside.
to do it.
And Tupac was all about recognizing the things out there. And a lot of people living the stream. Vice Admiral Strawberry, thank you so much. And Celeste Inman. We had a couple
Thank
people
you,
over
guys.
there too as well. And please, if you're on the MCSC network, take the time, stop. Go over to the Convo Couch YouTube, like us, share there.
subscribe,
We're also on Facebook.
please.
We have a Twitter and Instagram.
Celeste, love, hate, love gets my
yes.
vote too. Celeste, yeah,
Yes.
real. We
And
recognize.
Tulsi talks about love.
Love, aloha.
Oh, aloha.
Aloha.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks
So,
so
fam,
much
when
for
you want to
having me.
kind of, somebody's got to catch a plane.
Yeah. So
So
if
if
you
you
want to give us a website or
Yeah, you can catch me at donaldtc.com, which is my website.
and
I'm
your
also,
Twitter should be on there.
Yeah, and
Thank you, Celeste.
I'll be on a Virgin River on Netflix coming up soon.
Oh, nice.
I got a little bitty part in the Twilight Zone coming up.
Nice.
And and the sketch I did with Michelle Boley and Rogue Kite, that'll be coming out soon. So look for that too.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Well,
All right.
ladies and gentlemen, that is the Convo Couch. I'm Pasta Jardula.
And I'm Fiorella. Convo out.
Peace. Like, share, and subscribe.
Please. Pasta will make you pasta.